Long ago, in the 9th century, Chinese scientists were searching for immortality.
An alchemist who strived for longevity created an elixir containing charcoal. However, this mixture did not work. He decided to combine this charcoal with two other ingredients, potassium nitrate and sulfur. The results were catastrophic.
This new compound had caused not only the entire house to burn down, but also scorched the hands and faces of those within range. This compound became widely known as a tool for causing explosions.
Since the discovery of this new weapon, which was later named gunpowder, it has been used in guns, cannons, and fireworks.
At first, the only thing gunpowder was used for was fireworks. That was until they realized how dangerous it could really be. Finally understanding how physically harmful gunpowder is, the Chinese decided to put their new compound to use in defense and offense.
The cannon was the first major invention that used gunpowder in weaponry, which made warfare easier for the Chinese people, who now had a weapon unknown to all other countries. Guns became the next advancement in Chinese military use. When it came to battle, the gun was a much more precise tool than the cannon. It could be aimed at one specific person instead of just a general area.
The bullet shot from a gun could pierce the armor of a man and kill with one shot. However, the Chinese were not the only ones to discover uses for gunpowder. The Europeans discovered how to employ gunpowder into mining. They discovered how to use gunpowder to blow holes into mountains, which was much quicker and much more effective than chopping away at a rock for hours on end manually.
The actual definition of black powder would be a mixture of homogenized saltpeter and charcoal. Combined into a closed space, this mixture explodes violently if heated up to 400 centigrade. By adding sulfur to this mixture, the ignition temperature is reduced significantly. The mixture containing the sulfur develops white smoke versus the sulfurless powder, which burns nearly smokeless. When America was discovered, the new pioneers were satisfied with staying in the East for a while. But after some time, they decided to travel out west. The first immigrants to make the trip from the east to the west were Marcus and Narcissa Whitman, who made the trip in 1836.
During the time traveling, the people found themselves in need of self-defense and hunting gear, which is where the gunpowder came into play in the Old West. Duels were also a common occurrence in the Young West. A shootout on Main Street was sure to make the headlines in the daily news. In 1777, dueling pistols were made officially standardized weapons.
Then, in 1781, Richard Watson, who was a professor of chemistry, established that for common purposes the proportions of gunpowder be saltpeter 75%, charcoal 15%, and sulfur 10%. British gunpowder has been consistent with this ratio throughout the ages since.
Black powder was used until the 1890s, and it threw out large puffs of white smoke that could easily engulf one's surroundings in a haze. In 1884, smokeless powder came to be, and was an extraordinarily fabulous idea to those who were tired of coughing up clouds of smoke after every shot. The first gun ever made was recorded in 1350. However, the first recorded use of a gun was recorded 14 years later in 1364.
The gun evolved into a machine gun, which meant it did not have to be loaded after every round. It could shoot 30 or 40 bullets before it needed to be reloaded again.
The use of gunpowder in warfare diminished during the course of the 19th century due to the invention of smokeless powder.
Gunpowder is often referred to today as black powder to distinguish it from the propellant used in contemporary firearms.
In the year 900 AD, the Chinese made the first form of a firework, gunpowder-filled tubes, to fire at their enemy, the Mongolians.
In 1280, the Europeans gained access to the recipe of gunpowder, and then in 1380, handguns became popular in Europe.
However, it wasn't until 1498 that handguns became reliably accurate. In 1640, bayonets were invented. This invention was one that would affect the world for years to come.
Bayonets were not only used for warfare, but also for home use as defense. In 1862, the first automatic weapon was invented, called the Gatling gun.
It was a crank handle action and was in use until 1911. In conclusion, gunpowder has made a big bang on cultures all around the world throughout history. If it hadn't been for one man's longing for immortality, we would never have the chemical advances